Have you ever been so mad at your boss that you beat him upside the head with a piece of wood, lived on the run for the rest of your life, murdering a bunch of people, becoming Nevada's first ever serial killer? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, a Native American guy named Queho did. My name is Ricky, and this is Ricky's Historical Tidbits Podcast. Let me tell you the story of Queho, the Bad Injun. Back in 1880, there was a scandal. A biracial child was born. Part Mexican and part Native American, labeled as a half-breed. He was not accepted by his own on either side. He was kind of weird looking too, having 2 sets of teeth and a clubbed foot. When Queho was 17 years old, his brother, Avote, became a mass murderer, killing at least 5 white men in a rampage, then running away. Apparently, it was custom in the culture that the brother of the accused was to be the one that executed justice, so Queho was made to kill his brother. Queho knew where his brother would go, stalked him, and waited for the right moment. Just like Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, Queho shot his brother in the head from behind.
And I get the Tinder rabbit.
This made Queho sort of a hero to the community, though it likely messed with his head a bit. A few years later, he too would be a murderer on the run. Sometime around 1910, Queho was a suspect for a few murders of some Native Americans and some minors. The first official murder, though, other than his brother, was his boss, J.M. Woodsworth. Queho for a while was working as a lumberjack, felling trees and cutting them up to size. The story goes that Queho found out that he was not going to be paid for work one day, and so like any rational person, he grabbed a freshly cut piece of cedar and beat the man to death. Like I said before, he was known to have a clubbed foot. Some say a limp from a broken leg, but whatever the case, he had a funny walk, alright? Which you could see in the tracks made in the ground. The search was on, and soon Queho struck again. An older watchman from the Goldbug mine in Arizona was found dead, his badge stolen, and some funny foot tracks were found at the scene. Over the next few decades, Queho was labeled as a mass murderer. Just about every murder and mysterious disappearance was blamed on him. There's even a story of a lady being found dead in her house. The kids said that the dad did it, but it was pinned on Queho. Other strange murders came about which were always blamed on him, like Kenyon Charlie, an old blind Indian man who was known to be good friends of Queho. Charlie was found bashed in the head with a pickaxe and all his stuff stolen. My personal thought on this, and this one's conspiratorial, I suppose, and I have no evidence, so take this with a grain of salt. What if the posse looking for Queho went to Kenyon Charlie to ask some questions? He didn't talk or give the right answers, so they killed him, blaming it on Queho and publicizing it in hopes to draw him in. Either way, it was pinned on him. Another posse was sent out, but they always came up empty-handed. These different posses came pretty close. One guy was shot at late at night, the bullet whizzing right past him, and one posse had some Indian trackers. And they were found to have been, leaving clues and doing smoke signals to let Queho know where they were headed. Yeah, they all got fired. There were sightings of him walking around Las Vegas, going into a store, buying some peaches with a gold nugget, all kinds of things. But he was never caught by the authorities. Now, fast forward all the way to 1940. Some guys were prospecting one day when they noticed a cool-looking cave out in the distance. They go and check it out, walk in, and inside this cave was a dried-up, mummified human body with a clubbed foot and 2 rows of teeth. Also found was a rifle, a shotgun, a bow and arrow set, some pots and pans, some tools, rope, some wood that was actually traced back to the construction site of the Hoover Dam, and sure enough, the badge of the Goldbug mine Watchman. Investigators decided that Queho died from a rattlesnake bite, judging from a bandage around one of his legs. Soon the body was sold to the Las Vegas Elks Club. His body was put into a glass case and displayed at a funeral home for a few years, and then brought back to the Elks Club, where it was dragged around the Eldorado Days parade for a few years, until one day his body mysteriously vanished. The body stayed missing for a few years until it was randomly found and then bought by a local DA, who then finally buried Queho.